blue, I crawl alone. The wreckage of what now is gone. Back to you to fight another day. I'll go on and on and on and on. I'll face it, the demons I created with every last part of me. The pain will fade and I'll go on and on and on and on. Black and blue, I crawl to you. Black and blue, I crawl to you.
By now.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to SmackDown. Eli, take it on. What are we gonna do?
Yes, and it's just for right now. Just wanted to get this out. For right now, it's just going to be me and Decem. But for tonight's stream, we are doing it's a Pixar redo. And right before the stream began, this had uploaded not too long ago, a couple of minutes ago. My top and this came out on the YouTube channel that I'm on, Little Blue, and that is of course my top 10 favorite Pixar films, and that's what we're doing. That's what this stream is going to be like. Have my top 10 have my top 10 video be part of this stream, and what's going to happen is while the video is playing, and we will at times like pause the video and talk about the film that is going to be my number 10, number 9, etc. And this might turn out to be quite good and be a lot of fun.
We'll see about that. Here we go.
Here we go.
Pixar,
There he is.
without a doubt, holds a very deep place in my heart for sure. Their movies,
Sure
I
does.
gotta say, are the best. They are.
And make
for
sure,
sure
like,
the
why don't you turn up the volume just a little bit?
Need I say?
Sorry,
That is-
but no can do. Like, boop, 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 boop. I'm gonna have to turn down your volume if I'm gonna have to turn up my volume. Alright, so I'm gonna turn down your volume.
Well, it's gonna the stream, like people watching with the stream, it's gonna have to hear all three of them, you, me, and the video.
Yep.
But oh well.
Say the king of
Okay.
CG animation.
Is it better?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't have the stream pulled up, so I can't
They
tell.
are what started it all with making computer animated features, and with the first ever computer animated feature of all, Toy Story. And as you read the title, that's right. This
Maybe
is
when we
my
pause it, you can turn up my
personal
volume.
top
So when
10
you get back to the video, you can
favorite
turn up the
Pixar
volume.
films.
Alright.
And this time, this is in order. This is, these are, like, say, my number 10, number 9. You get the idea. And I'm very excited to share it with you guys. So, let's not waste any time. I'm Eli, and this is my very own top 10 favorite Pixar films. Enjoy.
Here we go. That classic fanfare.
Yes. I had to incorporate that.
Finding Nemo.
It's this
Okay,
one.
What is there not to love about Finding Nemo? It's one of Pixar's, gems for sure. It's right there, is one of their gems. And really, because this is where, a computer animated feature, I'd say, where, water was really worked in the world of computer animation, because in the early days of animated films using water, it was okay, but Finding Nemo really approved with the use of water. And even to this day, because looking at that film, because it's still amazing at how the water looks and with the animation, it's just fantastic. Finding Nemo, because Finding Nemo was Pixar's first Oscar win. It won for Best Animated Feature. As we all know, because they lost to Shrek with Monsters Incorporated, but this time they won with Finding Nemo. So, and really, because from director Andrew Stanton, because the inspiration for Finding Nemo came from two things. One, a trip to the aquarium, and 2, a moment with him and his son, you know, where Andrew was kind of not being a dad, you know. But yeah, all I've got to say is Finding Nemo, it's such a great animated feature with the cast of characters, the animation to it. I could go on yeah. So that's my number 10 favorite Pixar film. Number 10, Finding Nemo.
All right. Finding Nemo.
All right. Fine then.
All right. Here's my thoughts.
I should say. Yeah.
All right, here's my thoughts on Finding Nemo. Now that you kind of jogged my memory, Finding Nemo really proved that computers can render water well. You talked about that. I mean, I am kind of ignoring the story and everything else, but I digress. Finding Nemo kind of proved that computers can handle water well. Like, in Mario 64, I keep mentioning this, but I fucking love that game. The water is literally just a plane. That, on the texture. But in Finding Nemo and other later movies and video games, especially with the Wind Waker on the GameCube or Mario Sunshine, this is when water really proved itself to be a vital element. Like, you would later see this in, like, Moana, or...
Yeah.
Moana, where the water would almost have a mind of its own at times. Or hell, you would have the... Or hell, you had Bob in Monsters vs. Aliens, another CGI, later CGI film, where Bob is just this kind of goo-like character, and they really kind of play around with that in that film.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, the story, though, Finding Nemo is a pretty weird film in terms of... a pretty interesting film, I mean, in terms of story. I mean, it's kind of standard issue, in my opinion. I mean... like, it's amazing, like, once you actually watch the movie, but it's not really that unique, but, not to knock on the film, obviously, I fucking love Finding Nemo. But it's just that I don't think the story's that memorable. It's more known for, like, the jokes, the emotional drama, the everything else.
Yeah. And in response to what you said, like, I didn't talk about the story and such, well, okay, I mean, because even if I did, like, if I kept going, like, what? Like, people, like you guys would expect the top 10 video to go on for, like, say, 46 or maybe an hour. Just, no, I don't think so. And, you know, I'm not like any other person who's done their top 10, like, favorite Pixar films or anything else, like, you do it.
I mean, I'm not... Look, I wasn't even talking about you. I was talking about myself. I was critiquing myself.
Okay, I guess maybe I thought at one point you said what I was saying, so...
Yeah, I mean... Anyway, I really like your perspective on Finding Nemo, and I think it's a great one. Next up?
Yeah. Okay, time in.
Inside
never
Out,
gets old.
from director Pete Docter, who after directing two
I think
great
we all
Pixar
missed
gems,
Fanfare.
Monsters Incorporated and Up, he once again directed another Pixar gem, which being Inside Out. This is such a good movie, and fun fact, because even Pete Docter said it himself, and the inspiration for Inside Out was from an old classic and extinct attraction at Epcot, which being Cranium Command. That attraction had some inspiration for Inside Out, and it's obvious, because when you look at Inside Out and Cranium Command, they share one thing in common for sure, and that is, you're inside in the mind of a child, and yeah, that's pretty much it right there. That's simple. But the cast of characters and the story, everything to this movie is just fantastic. They got the perfect voices for each of the emotions, from joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust. The voices for those characters, for those emotions, really are the best ones. And yeah, Pixar did a heck of a job doing that. They were very smart and clever at choosing the perfect voice casting for those emotions. You also have, say, Bing Bong. If I recall, like, people at first were wondering if Bing Bong was going to be like a bad guy or something, but no, actually he's just like a sidekick, or, you know, those what's the word I'm looking for? You know, comedic relief, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Bing Bong is such a great character with the emotion, everything else to it, and especially because with him being voiced by Richard Kind, and just with the voice of Richard Kind, you know, to put it this, just really gives a great voice performance to Bing Bong. And I also feel like mentioning, because I remember this, that you know, legendary Muppeteers Dave Goelz and Frank Oz actually have voice cameos in this film. They're the voice of those two guards, you know, at that entrance where you know, Sadness and Joy, they're going in to find and, you know, rescue Bing Bong. I remember that, so that's a little fun fact for you there too. And especially because with Bing Bong, because his death, you know, just very sad, and especially the one line he gives.
Take her to the moon for me, okay?
It's just very emotional, and even Richard Kind did cry when he read that line. And what, you know, the lesson to be learned about in this film is that it's okay to be sad, you know, and with you know, and Joy realizing that it's okay to be sad, and with Riley just really upset, you know, missing Minnesota, just, yeah, such a heartwarming Pixar gem for sure. So that's my number 9 favorite Pixar film, Inside Out.
Time out.
Toy Story.
Whoops. Time out. Okay, so here's my timeout on Inside Out. Since I was busy, I have not seen Inside Out when I was kind of, I don't know, supposed to, and I'll be pretty busy for a while, but here's my piece on Inside Out. I actually remember when Inside Out was coming out, and even when it was released, where people were saying, "Oh, this is one of the most original ideas ever," when it's really not. Like, seriously. Yeah. Like, I remember this one clip of SpongeBob, where it was kind of like that, not with emotions, but with all sorts of different SpongeBobs in his mind. Even that's comparable to Inside Out. It's not the most original thing in the world, and I thought it was kind of funny, but that obviously takes away from really that it's a Pixar gem. Anyway.
Yeah, and Inside Out, like, because I remember when I saw this in theaters, and and as I established in that, and it's just a great film, and with such touching scenes, and, you know, and again, the lesson to be learned, like, it's okay to be sad, and Joy realized that, you know, it's okay to be upset, and that, you know, because Riley doesn't have to be happy all the time, and, you know, her missing Minnesota, and so there you go.
And that message actually resonates with me a lot, because I hate, like, when I'm upset, I really show that I'm upset, and I literally cannot calm down sometimes. And mainly because it's not, like, even after the problem's resolved, I still have a tough time calming down. Like, even after the problem is resolved.
Uh-huh.
And Mom really fucking hates that, and she calls it all the time, and I'm like, that pisses me off! Like, what am I supposed to do? Just like it? What?
Yeah,
like, and that infuriates me, and that's why the lesson you just talked about resonates with me so much.
Yeah, and I hope that Bing Bong's death was, you know, if spoiler alert, you know, because I brought up about Bing Bong's death, you know.
Ooh.
Yeah, because you said you hadn't seen Inside Out, so, you know, spoilers for you.
Oof.
Spoilers for you.
All right.
So time in, I guess.
Let's watch Toy Story. Let's watch your perspective on Toy Story 3.
So yeah, number 8.
Now,
number 8
you know, because it's amazing, you know, because I don't remember, like, you know, how people felt when, they heard that, a second Toy Story sequel was being made. Like, I guess they were cringing and thought that it would not be as great as what the first two did, but no, Toy Story 3 is a masterpiece. And to think that this was Pixar's second film of theirs to be nominated for Best Picture, the first being a year before, Up. And Toy Story 3, it's just a masterpiece, with of course the return of Woody and the gang, who we all love and such. All the toys we all know, love, you get my point. And with new toys, and there are a lot, because with Toy Story 3, it introduces lots of new characters, new toys, you name it. And even before seeing the movie, we never thought that, Lotso Huggenbear, or as he would like to be called, Lotso, would be basically the main villain, and gosh, he is just evil in this. And Lotso, I gotta say, is in my top favorite Pixar villains, favorite Pixar villains, I should say. And, because Barbie is there, she has a big part, and you know what, because I think everybody likes Toy Story's Barbie, because with Jodie Benson, who had been the voice of Ariel from The Little Mermaid, voicing Barbie, just really just makes Barbie great, And with Michael Keaton, a.k.a. Batman, Beetlejuice, and who previously voiced Chick Hicks in Cars, voices Ken, who would, of course, Ken and Barbie, there would be a romance between them. And with the other toys at Sunnyside Daycare, I remember, like, Twitch, Sparks, Chunk, Stretch the Octopus, Big Baby. I'm sure, Big Baby, creeped out everybody, And also a new kid, and who would become the new owner of Andy's Toys, Bonnie. And with her toys, Mr. Pricklepants, Buttercup, Trixie, the Peas in the Pod, and even the cat, from the Hayao Miyazaki feature film. God, I forget the cat's name, but,
Totoro.
That's really cool. And, John Lasseter, I remember he admires Hayao Miyazaki. And I think, even Hayao Miyazaki admires Pixar. So, there's a friendship between both of them. That's for sure. And the other characters like Chuckles and Dolly and Bonnie Hunt, once again, doing a voice, in a Pixar film after previously voicing Rosie the Spider, Miss Flint, and Sally, and now Dolly. And it has a lot of emotional stuff to it, Andy going off to college, and the furnace. Oh, yeah, everybody, of course, teared up at that sequence. And the Squeeze aliens, or the LGMs, they became the heroes by saving the Woody and the gang, of course. And the sequence where Annie is, passing his toys to Bonnie, very emotional. And it's got great music to it, the animation, the songs, and Randy Newman's song, We Belong Together. Everything about Toy Story 3 is fantastic. And, for number 8 is for sure Toy Story 3.
Alright, time out. Alright, so I had this pretty interesting experience with Toy Story 3. Did you know I actually had the entire movie spoiled for me before I watched it in theaters?
Now, what's that? You what?
The entire movie was spoiled for me right before I watched it in theaters.
Wow.
It was mainly because I got this coloring book because I was excited to see the movie. And
yes.
And it turned...
I remember. I had that same thing, too. The same thing kind of happened with me, too. But at that point, I didn't care. Just, I got the book, and there were the pages, the images, and that's that.
Yeah, and I thought it was... And I was literally about to say the same thing. And I knew never to buy one of those books again.
Yeah, especially you have those storybooks. Like, I remember when 2 years ago Toy Story 4 came out, and already, storybooks of that film were out, and it was spoiling the film, so...
Yep.
Jeez. And is there anything else? There's some other things that I didn't bring up in number 8 of Toy Story 3 in the top 10 video. But what about anything to say on another big one that I did not bring up was Spanish Buzz.
Oh boy, Spanish Buzz. I actually talked about Spanish Buzz in the drunk episode that we did before. And apparently that idea of Spanish Buzz, this version of the idea was basically the entire plot for the Circle 7 version of Toy Story 3. Buzz was actually, malfunctioning in that idea, and he actually had to go to Taiwan to get fixed, and then it was basically a retread of Toy Story 2 to try to get Buzz back. This time with Woody, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, originally I was
go ahead.
Gonna mention. Just quickly, I was just gonna say originally while I was working on the top 10 video, I was at one point going to mention about Circle 7's Toy Story 3, but as of now, because things were changed, and I think because how it turned out, and with what we just watched of me talking about Toy Story 3, I think it turned out pretty good without mentioning Circle 7's Toy Story 3.
Yeah, and
but we are talking about it now on the stream. So
yeah, I'm glad that we got the actual Toy Story 3 because the actual Toy Story 3 is a fucking masterpiece. But
it is, and as I said,
yeah, but it would actually be an interesting idea to actually have the Circle 7 idea be a Disney Plus special or something.
Yeah. The have non-canon, films,
Yeah. And guess what? They are actually already kind of doing that with the specials that they have for holidays and also to the Toy Story tunes.
Yeah. I mean, don't you think, and I don't see why not, the Toy Story tunes and those 2 holiday specials of Toy Story, Toy Story Terror and, Time Forgot, I think that's what it's called. They are canon to the Toy Story films. I don't see why they wouldn't be. Don't you think?
Yeah, they are canon. It's just that I don't see why the Buzz Malfunction spin-off film wouldn't be canon as well. Maybe have it take place at Bonnie's instead of Andy's.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know because it's like Small Fry established this that the toy line that the restaurant has in the short film Small Fry, they have the Buzz Lightyear, kids toys and such, and they're still the same, because we know how in and to put it this, and as I've been trying to put it, because with Circle 7's Toy Story 3. It was a bit different, like a recall of, different buzzes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just imagine, they actually go back to the restaurants, and they probably take some of the ideas from the whole recall thing and apply it to that, I guess. Small Fry could actually have a pretty good springboard for my idea of sort of a Buzz Malfunction spin-off movie. That could work.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, I think I've said enough about... Go ahead.
And I was just also going to mention a few other things I remember. Do you remember that Sid Phillips, he did make a cameo in Toy Story 3?
Yeah, because he had the frickin' skull on him and he was a garbage dude, apparently.
Yeah, and they got not only did they had John Morris, who had voiced Andy in Toy Story and Toy Story 2, and to once again reprise the role of teenage Andy, but they also they got the original voice of Sid, from the first Toy Story, reprising the role for Sid, even though that Sid only is going bam 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 because he's listening to music, but it doesn't matter. So they still got the. It's still the original voice of Sid.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
All right,
time it.
A number 8 favorite Pixar film.
All right, 7.
Don't we all miss the fanfare?
A Bug's Life. Now...
Yeah, I do. I love the fanfare. But,
yeah, the cast with the fanfare and the Disney castle, CG, so...
Yeah, but I don't know how that would work in normal times since Disney has their shiny new logo now, and it's kind of way too long for that fanfare.
Yeah, and well, Cars being the last film to have the fanfare, just a little bit different, grand and such. But and the very last time that the castle logo that was done by Pixar that was shown was in Ratatouille. So
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of weird that Pixar
yeah,
got to
so
keep their
now
logo once the main Disney logo was changed.
yeah, but I don't think but there was no reason to change that the Pixar logo because there's okay, so now we've come to number 7, which is A Bug's Life.
Yes.
I'm not really sure. Like, maybe this is considered, like, Pixar's underrated film and underrated gem, but I don't know and I don't care, because A Bug's Life is a fantastic, computer animated feature film. And to think that this was Pixar's second feature film. And, yeah, because one thing that I just feel like quickly mentioning is, the controversy and because this film came out around the same time when,
I didn't make
DreamWorks
that showing. I
Ants
found that
came
on
out.
Google.
So that whole controversy with that and Katzenberg, well, we're talking about A Bug's Life, okay? So A Bug's Life, it's fantastic. It's colorful, the animation's great, and
That's true.
it's quite big, and because with a lot of
yeah.
big sets, the land, everything else, and it's got a great cast.
Yeah, what?
Dave Foley as
Can't
Flick.
disagree with that.
The legendary Jonathan Harris as Manny the Mantis, David Hyde Pierce as Slim the stick bug, Dennis Leary as Francis the ladybug, Brad Garrett as Dim, Bonnie Hunt voicing Rosie, Kevin Spacey as Hopper, and Estelle Harris as the Queen, and can't forget to mention the one of the legends of Pixar, Joe Ranft, as the voice of Heimlich the German caterpillar, and after Toy Story and, with A Bug's Life and from there on, because John Ratzenberger, who voices P.T. Flea in this film, would continue on being in Pixar films as Pixar's Lucky Charm as we know it. And Dot, need I say, she's a pretty good character too. One of good kid character in some of those Pixar films, if you know what I'm saying. A Bug's Life, it for sure is my number 7 favorite Pixar film. It's fantastic. It's really good, and this film kicked Pixar into high gear. It had them go forward. You get my point.
All right, time out. All right, so
Timeout.
the moment I saw the Bugs Life logo, I knew my timeout was gonna be how the villain looks like Michael Bloomberg.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently the villain looks like Michael Bloomberg, and apparently we don't want to get into politics on SmackDown, so that's kind of all I have to say about that. So, anyway, A Bug's Life.
Well,
I haven't seen all of A Bug's Life, but I have seen quite a few parts of A Bug's Life, so I can't really say that much on A Bug's Life anyway.
Right.
So I guess that's my timeout.
For me, cause
Go ahead.
and for me, because what I said, and yeah, you were saying you can't deny that, it was a big film, big sets, and where they went, you name it.
Yeah, it was a big movie, and I actually wanted to mention real quick that that set for that set in The Bug's Life, at the beginning of the movie. That set was actually reused as an alien planet for Toy Story 2. It was that good that they had to reuse it.
Well, many things from A Bug's Life made Easter. There are many. The Ant Island, the riverbed. Is in the beginning of Toy Story, minus aside from the floating rocks, and you even you have Heimlich. Well, okay, we know that Heimlich and Flick make cameos in the end credits, but in the outtakes. But Heimlich himself, you can't he does make an appearance in Toy Story 2 itself as Buzz is knocking off the branches. He's crawling along.
Ooh.
and even the bug bar that's in A Bug's Life, it does make, you know, I listen to I've listened to the commentary of Toy Story 2, like they've been saying like the plants are from A Bug's Life. In the background is right as Buzz makes his way into the section of all buzzes, you could see like their Bug's Life toys there, and Jonathan Harris, aka Dr. Smith, and who voiced Manny the Mantis in A Bug's Life, he would come back for being the same guy from Jerry's game. Well, it is Jerry, so and he does have a voice which is Jonathan Harris, and Jerry's game being the short, Sebastian, and here's another thing, because while I was while recording, like say A Bug's Life and a couple of others, I had to kind of cut some things out because of time, and there were a few things that I mentioned as I was recording, for Bug's Life that did not make its way again because I had to trim some stuff again because of time. I mentioned other characters like there was Thumper, and I mentioned that Disney has another character named Thumper after Thumper the rabbit in Bambi.
Ooh.
And then there was also the legend if he voiced one of the ants, and it was one of his last. He A Bug's Life and this, and he did a couple others. A Bug's Life was, to put this, A Bug's Life was one of Roddy McDowall's last, about 2 months after he passed away, because I believe as though he passed in, I want to say either in September or October, but this came out after he died. And so that and I also mentioned the bird scene, because we have the bird and the circus, that too. So there you go.
All right, time back in.
Yeah, time back in.
Ratatouille.
Oh boy,
Director
this one.
Brad Bird, who before made a name of himself with The Incredibles, and once again, he did it again, this time with Ratatouille. Ratatouille is fantastic. It's amazing. I remember, because the story of Ratatouille and its origins, it all started from Jan Pikovic, who had worked with Pixar before,
Jan Pinkava.
Okay.
Directing Pixar's Academy Award-winning short film Jerry's Game.
My pronunciation.
And around
the director of
2001,
Jerry's Game.
he started, in the process and in development for Ratatouille. And from what I heard, John Lasseter and many people at Disney and Pixar felt that Jan Pikovic was not quite ready to, direct a full-time, feature film. You get my point. And John asked Brad if he wanted to do this film, who right after doing The Incredibles, and Brad just accepted, immediately did. And, and obviously, because from what I heard, it did kind of hurt Jan Pikovic, and because after his replacement, he pretty much quit Pixar right there and then. But I do remember he still got credited for for this film, and I don't see why not. It's thanks to Jan Pikovic for for this to exist, pretty much. And Ratatouille is amazing with the animation, the music by Michael Giacchino, who previously did the music and score for The Incredibles. And the cast of characters are fantastic. Remy, Emile, and some of the humans, Linguini, Colette, Skinner, and oh my gosh, I love this character, Anton Ego. He's such a great character, and with that fantastic voice he's got, Ego is just a really good character. And when he's redeemed at the end, and the review he gives, just a really touching and spot-on review he gives, because he's a food critic. Everything about Ratatouille is just amazing. It's got some emotional and touching scenes, and just everything about this film is fantastic. That's all I gotta say. So that's my number 6 favorite Pixar film, which being Ratatouille.
Time out.
All right.
Oh, time in.
All
Time
right.
out.
All right. Time out. All right.
Yes.
Ratatouille. This is a pretty weird movie for me, since Ratatouille is like, I kind of love the idea of Remy basically puppeting Linguini. Like, they should have made a lot like a Jim Henson jokes. Because, like, there were so many opportunities for, like, nods to, like, the Muppets and stuff.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Now that you say it.
Yeah, because, like, there could have been, like, at least a quick sort of, like, Muppets reference somewhere there.
Maybe.
But I digress. Ratatouille, for me, is a pretty weird movie since I'm a very picky eater, and I don't really like seeing food that much. Like, even seeing, like, weird food just makes my skin crawl, so my response to Ratatouille was a weird one, to say the least, but I can still see it as a great movie.
Yeah. I mean, same thing for me. Like, well, not really, but I mean, I love Ratatouille, and as I've been saying in the top 10 video, and once again, to mention this, like, again, because I remember now, like, because with a Bug's Life and with this, like, I cut some stuff out, like, I mentioned this, like, it's true that Skinner is totally just evil in this, and, like, almost a traitor to you know, who used to be his late friend Gusteau, and and Skinner, he's a good villain, and he's got a great voice. Oh gosh, I forget the actor's name, but who had passed away a while back, but who played Bilbo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings films. It's him, and who was in the first Alien film. That's him as the voice of Skinner. If you know who I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, especially because he's good. He gives a good performance, and, like, who cooked the ratatouille? I demand to know. And the other like chefs in Gusteau's are pretty good. Like Will Arnett voiced one of them. He voiced the blonde one. And I remember like one funny part is like where his character says I killed him with this thumb. And that's pretty good. And I forgot to mention Gusteau, and I cut out where I was talking about Gusteau, like Brad Garrett voicing Gusteau, and Brad Garrett pulling off a good French accent for Gusteau, and there's something else. Well, that I didn't mention, and if I did, when I was recording, like how the original director, how do you pronounce his name?
Yang Pinkava?
Yeah, like how he was doing Ratatouille, very different than what we got of the actual Ratatouille, what we have now, because like the rats living in the catacombs and not the sewers, and and the rats not really looking that much like rats, and having Gusteau be alive and such. But when Brad Bird came in, of course he made some changes, and which turned out great for Ratatouille itself. Rats being in the sewers, not in the catacombs, and rats looking more like rats, killing off Gusteau, giving Colette and Skinner big parts in the film alongside with Linguini, and and because I mentioned that Yang got credited for this film, I think he and I can't remember, like I saw this on IMDb. He's like credited for, I guess, co-director and also consultant for the film, something like that, but he still got credited for the film. And and as I said, I don't see why not, because it is thanks to him for having this film exist. So there you go.
All right, we're done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So time in.
Yeah, time in.
Time in. Number 5.
This was Pixar's...
Oh, this is controversial. Putting Brave at 5.
I don't. Okay, if that's what you
feature
said, then
film
I don't
for
care.
those to have a Disney princess.
I mean, I don't really care either.
In the movie
This is
itself,
your video.
Is not wanting to be a
Yes, it is, and
princess,
this
you know,
is my top 10
wants to
favorite
live
Pixar
an-
films.
live an
So there you go.
adventure, that kind of stuff, and yet she
All right,
has a trick and bow
let's
and
shut up and
arrow.
watch.
But everything about this movie is great, and because with the cast of characters, the story to it, it's got an amazing story, and between a mother and daughter, and with Queen Eleanor being turned into a bear, and throughout that film, because a journey and a lesson to be learned and such. And the music, it's so great. I especially love those parts where there would be like a chase, and the bagpipes would be playing. That is so good.
Oh, yeah.
And Merida's three little brothers, they are hilarious in this film. It's got some hilarious moments for sure, and as I said, the cast of characters are great. And some emotional stuff, as I said, and especially the film's main antagonist, Mordu, who was human but then turned into a bear, and as we find out later on in the film, Brave is, I think, I don't know, another Pixar underrated gem. I really don't know. For me, it's hard to tell, but it's fantastic. Merida is such a great film, and it deserved to win Best Animated Feature. I remember because my family and I, we all jumped for joy when Brave won. And it was funny that the directors, they wore their kilts at the Oscars, and when they got up on stage accepting the award, that was too good. But Brave, as I said, it's a great Pixar animated feature, one of their gems, and it's my number 5 favorite Pixar film.
All right.
I'm out.
All right, so here's my quick, brief timeout on Brave. You can finish when I'm done. All right, so here's my experience with Brave. I went to see it in the theater. Went to see it in the theater once when it was in theaters, and I remember it being and to this day I don't remember really anything from it. I know you disagree, but that's just my opinion. You can have yours.
Okay, but I will ask this: like, why did you say that? That's controversy because it's number 5.
It's controversial because it's number 5, because, like, most Pixar aficionados don't really put Brave up with the gems. Like, most Pixar aficionados classify Brave in the bottom tier of Pixar films. Not to say that the movie's bad or anything like that. It's just that it's not really up there. On the contrary, think it's quote-unquote up there.
That is true, and I am not. Well, everybody has their own top 10, top 20, or favorite.
Like,
Pixar
I'm an
films.
example. I'm an example too. You're an example. We're all an example. Like,
Exactly.
I'm not denying that. It's just that I thought it was weird to see yours. I mean, pointing out an opinion is weird doesn't mean, knocking you for that opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that I guess I'm one of those rare people, like Pixar fans, who would consider, like, would have Brave be in, like, say, number 5 or number 4. So, but I love Brave, and it's great, and because as I did establish, because my family and I, when we were watching the Oscars, and when it came to, like, say, Brave, like, and when it won, because we were all just happy that it did, and and to think, because this did win Best Animated Feature, so as I said, and I also said this, that some parts where there'd be like a chase or something, and the bagpipes were playing, though, that's pretty good. And I totally did not mention, like, say, that sequence and with the witch character, and if you didn't realize, like, some Easter eggs in her shop, because of she's not only a witch but a wood carver. Some Easter eggs in there, like there is like that kind of cardboard kind of drawing where Sully makes a cameo, and apparently, like, a carving of the face of Joe Rampt is in there too, and there's also a carving of the Pizza Planet truck in there too, and there's also a carved cutout of a canceled from a canceled Pixar film, and which did make an appearance in, like, say, Toy Story 3 and Andy's room of posters and such. Did you know about this? It was a canceled Pixar film called Newt.
I know about Newt, but they apparently they canceled Newt because it was too similar to Rio.
Yeah, but I heard about this. Have you? Okay, here's another YouTuber that I'm gonna mention. Are you familiar with Melting Man 234?
I love Melting Man 234, and here is an
See-
interesting fact about the YRC. Did you know that M Page knows Melting Man 234 personally?
I did not. Well, I knew that another member of the YRC, AT, with all
ACT?
those numbers. Yeah, he know. I've seen him comment. I've seen some of his comments on some of Melting Man 234's videos, but I did not know that M Page knew about Melting Man.
Yeah, M Page knows about Melting Man, and he actually knows that guy personally. Like, he's a Discord friend.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, I ought to check that out too. But he did it in his Forgotten Media episode, which is Mix Batch, and one of them in the Mix Batch episode, the one subject which being Newt, he explains this, that the main reason why it was canceled was that it was given to Pete Docter, who would go on to write and direct a better feature that would come out not too long after, which of course being Inside Out.
Yeah. Alright.
So there you go. So Melting Man 234 established on that.
Alright, do you think we can time in?
Yeah, I think
we said our piece.
I can't think of anything else, and I think what I said was pretty well established. So time in.
Monsters
Number 4.
University. I don't care what anybody says. I know that this movie is, has mixed feelings. It's mutual, that kind of stuff.
True.
But I'm one of those people who absolutely loves this film. And this is Pixar's first ever prequel. And I know that everybody was, wanting to see a sequel to Monsters, Inc. And and with Boo and so on. But come on, it's Monsters, Inc. is not just about Boo, okay? And it was very awesome and interesting to see, how Mike and Sully met. And especially how this movie pretty much, is, respecting one line from Monsters, Inc. itself. You've been jealous by my looks since the 4th grade, pal, that line, The characters are great, funny, new monsters being in this film, really cool. It's colorful, and the music and score, once again, done by Randy Newman, fantastic. And all those, scare games, and to enter the scare program, pretty cool. And even the appearance of, say, Randall, or as he was called in this, Randy, Randy Boggs, And what's really cool, we get to see, how and why Randall despises Sully. We see it in this film. It's fantastic. Monsters University, I love it. I'm one of those people that really likes this film, and yep, it's my number 4 favorite Pixar film, Monsters University.
Alright, time in. This is gonna be quick. I don't want to go into my opinion because I know you don't care, and since you don't care, I feel like I might as well not care either. But I'm gonna say this about the 4th grade line.
Back. Did you not notice that my phone had died at one point?
I actually did not notice.
Did you not? Well, you didn't notice that I was gone?
You didn't know? I didn't notice you were gone because I was too engrossed in your review.
Okay.
Because...
Well, I guess thankfully I didn't miss that much, because, well, the video was playing and, we were being quiet because as the video was playing and I was talking, so there you go.
Yeah, and I was about to say... I would give my opinion, but I know you don't care, and I think you're the only one listening, and you don't care, so I'm not gonna go into that. But, about the 4th grade line, Mike and Sully could have just forgot that they existed. Could have just forgot about each other. And then, I knew you from the 4th grade, at some point after Monsters University. They could have just forgot! And I just remembered.
Well, and, I think that because as of now, and, when I was listening to the commentary for Monsters University, because as of now, they see that line that was said in Monsters Inc. You've been jealous of my look since the fourth grade, pal, as just something that the monsters would say, as a joke or something.
Ooh.
Something like that. That's the best I can remember and how to put it at.
Ooh.
But I remember getting excited for Monsters University. Is it my turn to talk now? You done?
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say I was excited for Monsters University as well. Kind of like Brave, I just saw it once in the theater and didn't think much of it. But you go ahead. I'm over.
All right. So now it's my turn. So, I mean, I got excited for seeing this film, and I remember like a year before it came out, and like when Monsters Inc. I think that's another thing too. I cut that out too when I was recording. When it came to recording about Monsters University, there was one part that I trimmed out again because of time, and that is, I mentioned Monsters Inc. being re-released in 3D, and for it being re-released in 3D a year before Monsters University, it was because of that, to get everybody excited for Monsters University, but also because, well, The Lion King did pretty well when it came out and when it was re-released in 3D, so that's another thing, but. When it came to Monsters University, like, hey, I loved it as I established in the video, and I think because it's a good prequel and it's colorful, like some great funny stuff to it and emotional, etc. So there you go.
All right.
And okay, go ahead. Yeah, I did say this. I was just one more thing because I remember now. It's in the video. Like I mentioned that how we find out how why Randall hates and despises Sully, and we see it in Monsters University, and that was pretty well done. And now we know why Randall has despised Sully, and because in Monsters Inc., Randall just wanting to get rid of Sully and to be number one, so top scarer.
Yeah.
All right, now time in.
Let's go.
Now to number 3.
Toy Story 2.
Oh, boy.
Now, Toy Story 2, I practically watched this all the time when I was little. It's my favorite of the Toy Story films.
Now let's watch and
right
listen.
next to Toy Story 3.
I know.
Toy Story 2 and 3 are two of my all-time favorite films in the Toy Story franchise.
Talk and listen.
Everything about Toy Story 2 is great. From the history and the story of how it all began, the making of this film, and with its co-directors, new toys coming in, from Woody's Roundup Gang,
Hey, should we do full screen of the video or just leave it how it is?
And the appearance...
That button,
will that work out? Will it work out, though? Because,
It's working okay.
Alright. Full screen. Whatever.
Of Barbie, Wheezy,
thinking that.
Mrs. Potato Head, the evil Emperor Zurg, and not to mention that this film, I believe, has 3 villains. Zurg, of course, Al, and, of course, Stinky Pete. So there you go. This film is just fantastic with the animation, with its action sequences, you name it. I could go on. Everything about this film is great. So that's my number 3 favorite Pixar film, Toy Story 2.
Alright, time out. Alright, so what I want to say about Toy Story 2, we actually already talked about during the Bugs Life timeout, but I just want to say, it is fucking impressive how good Toy Story 2 is for a movie that was literally made in like 9 months. If you know anything about the history of Toy Story 2, the entire movie was deleted at one point. They actually had to restart again because it wasn't working out too well, to the point where they only had 9 months to make the whole thing, and the animators literally got carpal tunnel trying to make the damn thing. And it's surprising how good Toy Story 2 actually turned out.
Yes, it is, and there should almost be like a documentary of the making of Toy Story 2, because there's a lot to it, as you were saying, and you were kind of going in different directions for it. Like the order is, John Lasseter gave the directing of the film in the hands of Ash Brannon and Lee Unkrich while he was still making A Bug's Life and so on, and when he came back to see how the movie was doing, because well, he was on a European trip or something of A Bug's Life, and when he came back to see how the movie was doing, and as Electric Dragon 505, aka Animat, established this, in his animation look back of Toy Story 2, they all agreed that it sucked, and they reached out to Disney asking if they could redo the movie, and the response they got was not what they wanted, and they were like, screw it, we're gonna start all over again. And yeah, and they only had 9 months to make it, and throughout that 9 months, well, they for sure did a heck of a job. And even up to that point when the movie was, they thought that the movie was completely gone, but one of the workers at Pixar managed to save the film, like, I guess, on her computer or something. So hallelujah for that, and what a miracle that was. And they finally managed to reach their deadline in November of 1999, and you know what? They made a heck of a sequel for sure. And for it being the first ever sequel to a computer animated feature film.
Alrighty. I think we're done there. Time back in.
Yes. 2 more left.
The Incredibles.
Good choice.
Brad Bird made made Pixar, really go big with The Incredibles. What can I say about The Incredibles? All I've got to say is it's freaking fantastic. And this is actually, fun fact, this is my dad's #1 favorite Pixar film, but I'm the opposite of him. The Incredibles is my #2 favorite, so my #2 favorite is The Incredibles. Everything about this film is fantastic, from the music, the animation, the characters, and its main villain, Syndrome. Wow, he's a fantastic villain. And especially Edna Mode. We can't forget about mentioning Edna Mode, and one of the famous sequences from that, "Where's my super suit?" Yeah, that's a great scene too. And and especially the Omnidroid. I love the sound effects of the Omnidroid. It's really cool. And that sequence where Dash is running, fantastic scene. And Michael Giacchino, who of course did the music for the film, he did a fantastic job, with the jazz and the trumpet, just amazing. So all I gotta say is The Incredibles. It's a fantastic Pixar film, a true Pixar gem, and my #2 favorite. Now, with all that being said, let's dive right into my #1 all-time favorite Pixar film. Here we go.
Time in.
Alright. Okay, The Incredibles. All I can really think to talk about for this timeout is Emblem and Jutsu Poops of The Incredibles.
Oh yeah, the Uncredibles and the Non-Incredibles.
Yep.
Yeah, I even inserted put it in the request chat, of an Incredibles YTP, which whenever we get to reacting to it. So, but is that all you're going to say about The Incredibles?
Yeah, pretty much everything I was going to say about The Incredibles you already said here.
Yeah. And just for me quickly, because, a lot of other things that I did not talk about, I did not mention in The Incredibles, because, the glory days, and some of the other characters, like from Mirage and, Rick Dicker, Bob's, Bob Parr, as his real name, aka Mr. Incredible, his boss being voiced by Wallace Shawn. And then there's also, at the very end of the film, because then, we had to wait a decade for the sequel, and it picks up right where it left off with The Underminer. And I remember listening to the commentary from Brad Bird and somebody else, mentioning, and it's true, John Ratzenberger was the last voice of that film. And what better way? Because for Pixar's Lucky Charm, but to have the last lines of the film. And I even forgot to mention this too. Oh my gosh! A couple other things, all the stuff with Jack in the first film, and not to mention two members of Walt's 9 Old Men, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson, in which Brad Bird looked up to them. And before The Incredibles, he had the two guys have cameos in the Iron Giant and in this, you know, The Incredibles, and that was a good cameo. And their lines, you know, you see that? That's the way to do it. That's old school, yeah, old school like the old school. Blah blah blah, and yeah, just The Incredibles is a Pixar masterpiece for sure. And to think that, you know, because when this came out and because it was a big hit, it was up to that point when, you know, with that and Shrek, you know, and Shrek 2, because the media industry were, you know, um, I forget how it goes. Even Animat, you know, in his animation look back at Pixar was talking about this. You know, that the media industry realized that in order for an animated feature to be successful, it would have to be computer animated, and it was up to 2004 and 5 when things started to change for the industry of animation. Like, no more hand drawn animated films and nothing else but you know, computer animated feature films. And The Incredibles and Shrek 2 proved that. So, and even up to that point when, you know, because after The Incredibles, like, it seemed like things, you know, the relationship between Disney and Pixar were no more, and so on. So you get the idea. But of course, as we all know, when Bob Iger stepped in, he shaping things up and fixed everything. So, you know.
All right.
Now we've come to number one.
Yes, and we actually agree on this one. If you've seen the last episode, you already know what this is.
This time I used the fanfare from Cars.
Yep.
Here we go.
And you know this, Monsters Inc.
I hope the shirt didn't give it away. You know.
Now, what do I have to say about Monsters Incorporated? Well, it's my all-time favorite Pixar film for sure, and this was the first movie I had ever seen going to a movie theater. It was the first movie I went to see, you know, in theaters when I was about 9 months old. Everything about Monsters Incorporated is fantastic. The story, and this, not to mention this was Pete Docter's directing debut after John Lasseter, who had previously directed, you know, the first 3 Pixar films, and now we had a fresh new director, you know. The characters are fantastic. It's got some hilarious stuff to it, emotional moments. The music with its jazz, fantastic. You know, just, it holds a very deep place in my heart for sure. And that's all I gotta say about it. It's just it's one of Pixar's true gems, I have to say. And yeah, it's just fantastic. The characters are amazing, as I said, and that's all I need to say. So with that, Monsters Inc. is my number 1 favorite Pixar film.
Let's just let the video finish. It's almost done.
All right.
With all that being said, and in conclusion, this has been my top 10 favorite Pixar films. And I gotta say, all the others that, you know, that were not on this list, they're still okay, you know? And they're still great. Anything that Pixar's done, all their movies are fantastic. Okay? So that's all I gotta say. So I hope you all enjoyed this top 10 list, and leave comments down below. Give this top 10 a like. And yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my top 10 favorite Pixar films, and I'll see you guys in the next video / top 5, top 10 list. Take care, and
almost
peace
done.
Out.
Oh, let it finish.
Alrighty.
That's it.
Okay, so here's whatever my timeout would be on Monsters Inc. I have so many good memories of Monsters Inc. Like, I would watch this so many times because of that one sequence in the door vault where Mike and Sully were going like, "Rah!" and realizing it's like a roller coaster. And to think that I would actually really love roller coasters, probably because of that scene. Love talking about roller coasters, I mean. And what's interesting about this one is that I actually want to talk about another great thing about Monsters Inc. The DVD. the DVD, the original DVD of Monsters Inc., I loved going back, looking at the trailers, the commentaries, and even all the games that they had, where, remember that sort of puzzle-type game with the doors that Mike hosted, I think? And that one time, Mike and Sully made an appearance on Pongiki's, that Japanese show?
Yes, I remember those.
Yeah, and I remember, like, having so much fun with this movie. Like, to this day, like, it puts a big smile on my face every time I watch it. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, and hold on a second. I was kind of setting my phone down. I was just, but oh my gosh, like the DVD of Monsters Inc. I have so many good memories of that, and going back to it, there's just something about, like, say, Monsters Inc. Disc 2 and any other, like, Disney DVD, like, from the early 2000s, that there's just something about them that were just great,
Yeah, I think it was because, like, people saw these movies as events, and they were, and they really wanted to show people's appreciation, genuine appreciation for these classic films, because they knew they were going to be classics.
Yes. And so from that, and remember this, because this was in disc 2 of Monsters Inc., the original treatment for the film, and Pete Docter narrates it.
I actually do not remember that. I was mostly interested in like the games and stuff, and I was also interested in this one Pixar tour video on that DVD posted by John.
Yeah, that. And more behind the scenes of the film, and some of the Easter eggs that were hidden, and if you had ever found them, but I have, like, there was, hold on a second, turn my TV down, but it's loud, but the Easter eggs that were in the disc 2 of Monsters Inc., I remember them very well, and if anybody would have ever found them, like, for example, when you go to the Pixar door, and the paper airplane that's flying, like, you click on that, the Easter egg is Pixar's International Air Show.
Oh, I remember that. I remember discovering that Easter egg.
Oh, so you found that Easter egg?
Yeah, I did.
All right, so that. Did you also remember that in in disc 2 of Monsters Inc. and with some behind the scenes stuff, and we would cut to the Pixar crew, there would be at times a chimp there?
Yeah, I remember. That was that sequence taught me that Pixar was a weird company.
And another thing is, they're my kind of people, so.
Yep.
And okay, so that, but this is on YouTube. Like, if you know, like, there's a YouTube channel called the Peach from the IRS. Like, he's uploaded some stuff, like the bonus features from the Pixar Blu-rays and so on. And like, one thing is, like, the Pixar Roundtable of Monsters Inc. And they talk about, like, say, with the whole thing of the chimp appearing on disc 2. They also talk about Yeti's cave, because there were numerous of ideas for the sequence with the Abominable, and eventually what they ended up with in the final film. And then also with Monsters Inc. being infected by 9/11, because they had to change out the part where the Harryhausen restaurant, originally it was going to be blown up, but instead they then changed it to like a force field and such.
Yeah, I actually remember that. Like, I didn't think it was weird at all that it was a force field. Like, I did not think it was weird at all. Like, I thought it was just them quarantining the building, but no, it was apparently going to be blown up.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I think it kind of makes sense, like, that being, as you said, quarantine. They have a force field over it.
Yeah.
Something else. I'm trying to remember. There's also, you know what? I'm trying to remember. Even, like, say, there was this, like, I have the DVD of it, and I did a puppet video of it. There was the Monsters Inc. read-along DVD, and so there was that. I'm trying to think of what else to say. Like the games too, yes. Like the puzzle, like finding pieces of Boo's door, and there was also a read along there in there, and Punky's, and like Pixar having a Bug's Life and Toy Story 2, like and up to Finding Nemo, like appearing on Punky's. Am I saying that right?
Punkgeekies, I think it is.
Right. So
And
so from a bu-
I'm still think that's kind of wrong. But who cares? Go on.
I was just saying, like from A Bug's Life up to Finding Nemo, like the characters appearing in that, and like they were speaking in Japanese.
Mm.
And they also incorporated this, like this was in disc 2, like some TV spots of Monsters Inc. like during the holidays and football. So those and the trailers being in there. Yeah, I could go on, but if there's anything else we want to say about Monsters Inc., so.
All right. I think we actually talked about Pixar quite a bit, like as this video was uploading. So I'm already kind of tired from that, but I said quite a bit about Monsters Inc. in the other Pixar episode that we did. So if you want to learn more, go to that. So I think we're 1 hour and 10 minutes in, and I think that was a SmackDown. Next on SmackDown, we're gonna be browsing yet another subreddit. We're gonna be browsing our Would You Rather. So we're gonna have a situation where would you rather do this or would you rather do this? It's gonna be pretty fun, and hopefully we're gonna have more people than this. As for Raw, on Monday, we're actually gonna be playing Super Mario Maker 2, me and MPage, and probably Nick. And we're actually gonna be going through some interesting Mario Maker 2 courses.
I'm
And
surprised.
and
No,
of
go
course,
ahead.
on November 27th, we have Survivor Series on the YRC live streams channel.
Yeah, and I was
Go
just gonna say I'm surprised that for tonight's stream, it's just been me and Decem. Like Michael didn't show up, nobody. But you know what? I think this turned out pretty well. Just the two of us. Yeah, and here's another thing, because I know Decem mentioned this a little bit before we started the stream. And because it had to be put on hold because, well, for one thing, the top 10 video was still uploading, and so we had to wait for that. And Decem and I were having a long conversation about Pixar, but other topics, like because Disney Plus Day has been happening, and I was mentioning that, and mentioning, like, say, COVID, but we had a pretty good conversation before, and because Decem mentioned that he was getting tired, and because we were talking about Pixar before the live stream and during the live stream, so
Yeah.
And again, I think that tonight's stream still turned out pretty good, with it just being me and Decem. And if I recall, because I missed out on the first stream of Pixar, was it just you and Michael?
Yeah, it was just me and Michael, and it was kind of a disaster. Like, we resorted to going to, like, an Easter egg article and saying, ooh, look, Easter eggs. Although, that could be kind of interesting if you're drunk enough. Alright.
You guys were drunk during that stream?
No, but it was like we were drunk.
Okay. Or if you had too much sugar, how about that?
Pretty much, yeah.
I think that's another thing to put it at that.
Yeah.
But do you think maybe if I did make it to the first live stream of Pixar, it might have turned out pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, it might have turned out. It actually would have turned out great if you showed up, because we were originally going to just go through all the movies and our thoughts about them. And you would have been perfect for that. You would have carried that, but apparently you couldn't be there. So,
for those of you viewers that don't know, and if it was ever brought up, like the reason why I was unable to attend to the last the first stream of Pixar is because I was very busy on before this top 10 video. I was busy with a top 5 video, which was my top 5 favorite Twilight Zone episodes. I missed out on that stream all because I was very busy trying to finish up on the top 5 favorite Twilight Zone episodes, and yet it did not come out that night on that Friday, which really is. And because as we were saying, and when it came to talking about Inside Out, tempers and so on, like, oh gosh, like I went berserk when, first of all, missing out on that on the first Pixar stream, and because I was very busy on the top 5 video, and yet it didn't come out on that night. You get my point. But I'm glad that as of now, because this is a redo of Pixar, I managed to be here, and especially my top 10 favorite Pixar films being the focus and being part of this stream. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. So I think we've said everything that we have to say. Bye bye.